Because, all right, so we've read the scriptures that the Lord said to Moses, write on these the words, for after the tenor of these words I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he was there with the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights, and he did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. So Moses went back up for another 40 days and 40 nights to the up in the mountain with God, and he was spending time with him. And now there's another copy of the 10 Commandments that were made out of stone. What happened to the first one? The first set, he came down, he saw the sin, and he broke the 2 tablets. He threw them down, broke them, and the tablets were broken, and he ground up the idol, and people were put to death, and sickness, and all this happened. And so basically, they had broken that covenant that they made. This was a 2-party covenant. If they would keep the first part, God would keep the second part. It was a covenant they had an agreement. Well, 40 days in, they have already broken the covenant. And Moses symbolically broke the commandments that represented that covenant. Now, what did God want to do? What did God tell Moses that he wanted to do? He wanted to wipe them all out and start over with Moses. Moses interceded for the people. And he's called the great mediator. But he interceded for the people and said that it would look bad. It wouldn't fulfill your promises. And anyhow, he presented his case, and the Lord listened to Moses and did not wipe him out. You might say their relationships was a little bit strained. It's when you got a strained relationship, it's hard to talk, it's hard to communicate with the other party. When you have one party has broken all the, okay, I'm done with you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. We're just done. There's just all kind of things that happen when one breaks a covenant, whether in marriage or partnership or whatever. When one breaks a partnership, it makes the strain on that. And Moses interceded for that relationship. And so here
we learned last week that God wrote the first tablets, and now he's telling Moses to do these. Is that right?
No.
Okay.
It's just opposite.
No, because if you look at this, and I said the same thing. Did I read that wrong? Who wrote the second one? And as I read it again, and I realized, and
The Lord wrote the second one. What it says.
and he said, let's see, and he said to the Lord, 40 days and 40 nights, he did neither eat, drink bread nor drink, and he wrote upon the tablets the words of the covenant, the Ten Commandments. I think this is a bad verse. Let me go to.
Exodus.
I'm going to read out another translation here.
Well, the Lord tells him to write these words, don't he?
Well, that's what it.
What he
He was copying them down on parchment or whatever, but the Lord wrote the ones on stone.
Let me see here.
It says, or at least it says that here in the lesson.
Let me see.
It says, these were written by God himself.
Yeah, I read a different translation.
34:1 kind of tells a little bit more.
Let's see, Genesis, is that 34? No, it's not Genesis.
Exodus 34:1.
I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. I came up with the same thought too, and
And the Lord said unto Moses, hew thee 2 tablets of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these tablets the words that were in the first tablet, which thou breakest.
okay. So, and where was that found?
Huh?
And which verse is that?
Exodus 34:1, King James.
Okay. All right. So it's clear in that verse, and in the verse we just read, I don't think it is clear.
It isn't.
34:27
So
says just the opposite, doesn't it?
it seems to be, it throws you off. So you're not the only one that came up with that same conclusion, but I had and I read it there. But God wrote the tablets, but He wrote the instructions. Moses wrote the instructions that they needed. I don't know if he wrote Leviticus while he's up there or not, but
What does tender mean in 34:27? Tender?
let's see. And the Lord said, Moses, right?
Is there meaning or the,
That yeah, I think so. Like the meaning, the tenor, the intent,
the impression or what?
the impression, I believe. So he
It's really immaterial. It all comes from God. He's the one that directed what to say and.
exactly. But the important, I think, part of this, the second, we have now another covenant, another 10 Commandments, another covenant. After the first one, it was broken, okay? There was a problem. And Moses interceded and fixed the problem. Well, help fix the problem. You know, interceding with God, and God would not, and so they got this, and there was things that took place. The judgment took place, and people perished because they were rebelling, and so now they're in another situation here, and God has now presented them with another covenant. Well, not another one, but the same covenant again.
It wasn't any different, was it?
Nothing different.
I get the impression, though, there might have been some more guidelines.
But it was a second chance.
Right.
It was a second chance, and they weren't done. Sometimes we feel like when we fail, it's over. Forget it. I might as well be as bad as I can because I'm not going to get any gooder. You know, I mean, I've already, what you might sealed my fate. So I'm just as well go ahead and blow it. You know. But that's not what God does. Here we see that God, with his own hands, writes on the tablets the same thing. Okay, this is presented to you guys. Now, he knew when he wrote those things that, what? Can't keep them.
Yeah.
But, not to say that he, but anyhow, I think the fact that he wrote them again shows us of God's mercy for us and his giving us a second chance. He's kind of showing, okay, we got past this part. Now we are able to begin again, and it's like a new beginning. And so I think that's what's important about this. It's the thing where we step back. Okay, now 40 days ago we brought the Ten Commandments. We'll start over. They weren't doing rebellion this time. They didn't lose faith that Moses wasn't coming back down this time. All right. Now that they're given a second chance, you might say, we're going to look at the circumstances around something, and it's really something worth thinking about. It's a picture of what ought to be present today in a way. So let's look at verses 29. Someone want to read 29 to 35? That's a bit long, but okay, go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. And Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him, and Moses talked with them. And afterward all the children of Israel came nigh, and he gave them in commandments all that the Lord had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. And he came out and spake unto the children of Israel, at which he was commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. And Moses put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him.
Okay. That's pretty. What was different from the first time Moses went up? He spent 40 days and 40 nights. And this time that he spent 40 days and 40 nights.
Well, when he came back, his face was shown, but
Okay.
I think the children of Israel had learned their lesson from the first time.
There was no golden calf this time.
Yeah.
Well, also that last week's Sunday school lesson talked about God actually showing him his glory.
His glory, yes.
And I think that was missing from the first time that we're not told that that's what it was from, but that's what's different about the two meetings. God's the actual what was the glory of God's like? It was a brightness. We're talked about there will be no need for the sun.
I don't think man can understand that. He don't have the mind to comprehend that.
Yeah. But, you know, in Revelation, it talks about that there won't be no need for the sun, because the light will, the sun is, Jesus will be the light. A lot of times we think of the light as being figurative. You know, he's the light of the world, the song says. And in a lot of ways, he is the light. Light shines on our path. His word, shines. Psalms talks about our his light be light our pathway. But also we know that God led the children of Israel during the night with a pillar of fire. Talks about lightning, and the verse I read from Revelation 4